So first, I want to thank you all for coming and listening to me today. I know we had two other fabulous sessions that could have taken your time, but you chose me and you chose to hang out with me, so I think that's awesome. And I want to say something. This has been the most fun CPRS conference that I've ever been to. I know 60% of the room, and I've watched so many of you and your careers grow as peers, that's amazing. Guys, when we all first started this walk, there's a few of you been in here with me for the number of years that I've had to experience what the process of recovery was. We did not have people who advocated like this 15, 16, 17, 18 years ago. We didn't have anybody that would say, it's okay to be broken. It's okay to need help. And that's why we've kind of had the problems that we have now, because people always wanted to tell our story about us instead of letting us tell our story about ourselves. So I'm going to start. My name is Monty, and I'm a person in long-term recovery. Yes. I know we understand what co-occurring is. So I was tri-occurring. So I suffered from substance abuse, I suffered from depression, and I also suffered from lifestyle choices. Every single time I tried to kick one of the other ones would kick dust right in my face and put me right back where I started from. So what happened was, early in my attempt to find my freedom, I was stuck in a cycle and couldn't find my freedom because the cycle was the only thing that would engulf or embrace me. So I didn't have people like you to give me the structured fellowship that I needed. Guys, you don't understand. We're right now, Tennessee, our state, we are the leader in peers working to help peers. We are yes. So if I get a little fired up and get animated, just forgive me, because I'm a good old country boy. I come from about 2 counties over. So just going to share a little bit about my life. I had problems overcoming my hurts, habits, and hang-ups. I get it. We all get it. But now I get to be part of the solution. We get to be part of the solution. And what I did is I put some things first in my life, how it works with me. One, my faith. Respectfully to you all, I know we all don't necessarily believe the same thing, but that doesn't matter. That does not matter. We're all part of a common good, a great thing. We've all decided to be peers. Peers meaning interact with individuals who need our help. I am the faith-based director for the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. I work with different religious communities across the state to get them to be part of the solution. I don't care if you believe in anything. I know that we can all help each other serve somebody. There's never going to be enough government programs to help everybody, but there's enough of you to catch every single person in this state. And we have to empower ourselves. So one, my faith. Faith that will move mountains. Not necessarily move mountains, but faith that will help me climb the mountain. Help me understand what the mountain is. If I keep putting mountains in my face, they don't need to be moved. I need to learn how to climb the mountain. 2, family. Obviously, that's my son and his beautiful wife. They got married last year on the beach. I am severely sunburned in that picture. I was very happy at that point in my life because my son is now 22. He's in the military. He's in the Marine Corps. He is deployed right now. He just met, yes. And he actually works out a lot and sends me pictures. He looks way better than I do now, but I'm still not scared of him because I'm his dad and I can always whoop him in my eyes. 3 is my values. I don't know about you guys, but when I hit rock bottom, number 1, I didn't think I was of any value. So I really didn't have a moral compass, so I didn't have any values myself. But now I do have values. I do understand the nature of what I do and the principles that I stand on and the position that I'm in as a leader. And I get to lead and talk to people, and I have to stand firm in my position. And the people that I believe in are you, because I need you to believe in the other people that look to you for leadership. And education. I've got a couple of different educational backgrounds. We'll go over that later. And martial arts. Yeah. So just a little caveat. One of my nicknames is Kung Fu Panda. I grew up in a martial art family. Since I was about 3 years old, we've been punching each other in the head and in the face. Please don't judge me if I say something twice. It probably started when I was 3 years old with a little pop to the head. This is just a couple of pictures. Don't judge a book by its cover. We as peers have so many diverse backgrounds. Don't forget where you came from. If you're good at fixing tractors and riding tractors, I respect that you a peer, but make sure you tell somebody you can do that. Because sometimes the people that you're around need to hear that you can do other things, because they may never be the one to wear a suit and tie, but they may be always the one that can do the other things in the community that makes the community work. Guys, we're talking about going out and building resources and networking and becoming the community. It's not always about going into a big agency and becoming a peer. It's about serving your community and making your own position. Yeah. Make the community work for you. The second one is a fight that I did, and I wore this shirt that my good friend Alan Burnett gave me. And I'm in the MMA world. I fought, I boxed, I kickboxed. I still compete in international jiu-jitsu tournaments. I get thrown on my head and I throw people on their head. It's kind of some kind of dude thing. I don't know what's my problem. But I wore a shirt that said I'm a person in recovery. And that world, I was amazed at how many people reached out to me and was like, me too. This is how I found my sobriety. I started fighting. Now, I know it sounds like an oxymoron and all kinds of other stuff, but we don't get to choose people's path, but we can support them in it, right? And if it's something that can be positive and recovery conducive, it's our job to make sure that whatever path they have, that they can stay on that path and it's good for their family and it helps them build their values and et cetera. We're going right back in a circle. And this is just a couple of pictures of a couple of championships that I won. The one on the left was at MTSU. I fought in front of about 8,000 people. And I got up, the first thing I said when I won was, first is I'm tired. I was going to say thank you, God, but I couldn't get it out of my mouth real quick. I thought it up here. But I said I'm tired, then I said thank you, God. And then I talked to all of my people that supported me in my groups. See, all my people that from the rooms that I was in, they came to support me because that was a positive product. Guys, I remember sitting down in a meeting with individuals and I was scared to death. The first meeting that I went to, I thought that I was not the same people that were in the meeting. I walked in and I was like, I ain't one of them. How many of y'all done that? Yeah. So this is what I want to stress. We are not pre-existing conditions. Now, I say pre-existing because now we tell people what our past was. So sometimes that gives individuals who don't understand us an opportunity to judge us. Don't we live in a funny world? I don't know who gave somebody else the right to condemn me for anything. I don't let them. Because when they take the path of morally condemning me for trying to better myself, I've already won the battle they think we're fighting. And I'm just being straight up with you. I've battled substance abuse and depression for years. I'm 18 and a half years free from that bondage. And that was one of the, thank you. So I understand where we are and what we need to do. I also understand that my way is not the only way. I also understand that my way is not the only way. I grew up Southern male, Franklin County, 2 counties over. When I grew up, you didn't tell people that you were hurting or you didn't show emotions as a male. Because we were always taught that if you cry, that you're weak. If you have emotions, you're hurt, go hide it. Matter of fact, we were taught to fix it with a tool belt, not actually address the issue. So what that did was is caused me to hide all of my hurts, habits, and hang-ups until I was old enough where it almost killed me. So no, we are not a pre-existing condition. We are a whole new thoughtful revolution of people that are going to get out there and make a paradigm shift. We're going to change this thing. We're going to go out and challenge the community. We're going to make employment work for us. We're going to make the community work for us. Listen, guys, recovery is real. There's over 26 million Americans who live, walk, breathe just like we do. So what we choose to do or how we choose to do it, hey, make the way yourself. When I was sitting in those rooms, did I ever think that I would wear a tie and sit in front of y'all and talk about recovery and talk about ways to network in your community? Did I ever think that I'd be sitting here looking at I don't know how many hundreds of people that have similar backgrounds as I have? I love the 2 words, lived experience. How many of y'all got an auntie or uncle that got lived experience? And I see you, Aunt TT. That's her nickname is Aunt TT. I'm just going to throw it out there. But how many of you guys got a relative that's got lived experience, and no matter what your degree of background is, they still smarter than you with something? You see, that's what you got. You got a whole community of people that may speak a language. They may be in the legal field. They may be in the clinical field. They may be a doctor. They may be anything. But they don't have the lived experience you have or the connectivity to the recovery community that you have. And that's what makes us valuable. But we got to be able to tell that story and not be afraid to tell that story. You got to be able to stand up to people and say, hey, look, I'm in recovery, but I can connect with them better than you can. How? Because I sit in the room with them. How? Maybe because I was locked up. Maybe because I was hospitalized. Or better yet, here's one. Maybe because I'm not going to judge them for their faults. Maybe because I'm ready to give somebody a hug and love them and figure out the stuff later. Because my good friend Kurt tells me all the time, when you release oxytocins, when you hug people, that's the first step, right? I love it. I hug people I don't know, and I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Look at this. I don't know who this person is. But when you hug people and you love people, that's the first process. But sometimes it's hard for people that don't understand us to hug us, because maybe something somebody else had done to them in a situation like we're in. Also because they probably didn't understand the addicted brain, and that just because we went to jail for 72 hours doesn't mean that 10 years of drug use changed overnight. They may not have understood us. But again, we're not a pre-existing condition. So we are a work in progress, right? We're a work in progress. I want to go over 7 habits of highly effective people. 1, we're here to talk about networking. I get it. I'm going to show y'all some resources at the end of the presentation. But no matter what resources we talk about, if you can't present yourself to those resources, you ain't going to get no job. You're not going to get an opportunity. You almost got to be a salesman of yourself. We've got to be able to market ourselves as something that's viable to a community, something that's going to be good for the community. 1, be proactive. Hello, you know you got to be somewhere and you know you got to look like something. Why don't you do some research on it so you can make sure you fit the bill, right? We know that. 2, begin with the end in mind. In case you can't tell, I claim victory over every single thing that thinks it can beat me. I was raised that way. Guys, I was raised, my mother's Pentecostal and my father's Catholic. Boom. Right. You can't tell me, you can't challenge any of my beliefs. I'm good. I'm not afraid to challenge anyone. But begin with the end in mind. You can't go into something or to introduce yourself to somebody, or you can't go meet a commissioner or a government agent or a job program and not be sure you can get it. You got to walk up in there and say, I can get it. Like, I got this. And if you don't want me, somebody else does. So begin with the end in mind. 3, put first things first. You guys know we got to prepare. We got to plan. Put first things first. Don't put first things last. Be proactive. Again, this goes back to being proactive. Make sure that you adequately prepare yourself for whatever networking opportunity you're going to go to. And an example would be, don't go somewhere with 20 employers with no cards or no information for people to contact you. Even if you got to write it down on a piece of paper, even if you got to go out there and get one of those pads that somebody gives you freely at one of these booths, write your contact information and give it down. You never know who's going to use it. Anybody who knows me, anybody who's ever met me, or that does any kind of ancillary work for the state, knows that once I meet you, I don't care what you write your number down, eventually I'm going to call you for something. I'll ask you to come speak at a program. I'll ask you, say, hey, you interested in a job? I'm not going to ask anybody to raise their hand in here, but I'd say probably 40 or 50 people in this room have been in a situation where I've reached out to you for something, to come out and speak and talk to other people, and it's usually led to something good for everybody. So put first things first. 4, think win-win. Even if you lose, you win. Even if you don't get it, you win. 1 is you find out what your faults are. If you go into a situation and interview for a job and you think you were ready to get that job and you don't get it, find out why you didn't get it. Don't be afraid to call back and say, hey, listen, I just thank you for the opportunity. Could you please enlighten me on what I need to work on so I can be better suited or ready for the next time an employment position comes open? Some people go in and be like, man, they didn't hire me. I don't like none of them. Kick a chair over, get mad, start looking at some show, listen to some gangster music on the radio and just get mad at the world. Putting yourself in a bad spot. You're putting yourself in a bad spot. But don't look at it that way. Look at it as a win-win. I was undefeated in mixed martial arts for years. I finally lost the fight toward the end of my career. I blew my knee out and decided to fight anyway. I knew my knee was hurt. I got a win-win out of that. 1 is my stupidity stuck out real hard. I didn't fight again, but I used all of those years of experience to help other people make better decisions and become champions. So I used my process. See, there's victory in every process. There's victory in every single process that you go through. If you survive it, that means you overcame it. somehow, whether you want to claim that or not, and that means you got something you can share with somebody else. So always look at everything, even if you feel like it's a loss, it's still a win. 5, seek to understand, know the company, know the organization. If you're going to be a peer that works at a hospital, at least know the hospital's scope or what they do or where they're located. Synergize, make sure that everything works with you. As a peer, I would suggest you not go into an employment field or go networking and resourcing with people that are going to put you in situations to where you could possibly relapse. We have to understand what our relapse triggers are. Regardless of whatever amount of money you could make, if you put yourself in a bad situation, you ain't going to be making it long. We are all vulnerable creatures, no matter how tough and strong we act like we are. I do think win-win. I always think that we can overcome this, but I'm also not going to put myself in a position to knock me off of my feet in the wrong way. 7, always sharpen the saw. So what you're here to do now is sharpen your saw. You're learning things. You're picking up activities. You went through ethics. I've been through ethics 5 times. I learned something new every time. Sometimes it takes me back 3 ethics ago and I have to question myself to make sure I heard the right thing. It was probably because I was doing something and wasn't listening 3 ethics ago. But always sharpen the saw. Continued education. Guys, I go to conferences of stuff that's not even in my ballpark because I know there are certain things that I need to know about employment law. There are certain things I need to know about etiquette. There are certain things I need to know about communicating with people who speak different languages or from different cultures. Because I'm going to work with those communities, I need to have a better understanding of that community. So you always want to sharpen the saw. So first thing we're going to talk about is networking. So as much as networking can be a frustrating concept for many people, it is still one of the most valuable skills a professional can possess. How many of you guys are scared to network with people that you don't know? So be honest, it's cool, it's okay. So it's hard to go into a situation where you don't know anybody in the room and just kind of implant yourself. Unfortunately, that's something that has to be done for you to move up. So we have to work on building that skill set. Particularly at the beginning of a career, it's hard to network because you don't know everybody. You might not even know what your capacity is as a worker. Every job and opportunity I have began in my career thus far has resulted from a relationship I have built along the way. So even in the process of being afraid to network, you find you 1 or 2 people out of that 100 and just be friendly with them. Start your networking process there. Somebody asked me, say, I talk in front of lots of people. That's a gift that I was blessed with. I'm not afraid to communicate. You give me 1 person, you give me 1,000, I'll break dance in front of all y'all. I ain't scared. But somebody asked me, how did you build your presentations up? Well, I started talking for 5 minutes. Now I can talk for 50. And I can time it. And I can almost cover the same content in 5 that I can cover in 50. Why? Because I wasn't afraid to start in the beginning. So you have to learn to build it from the bottom up. Whatever networking capacity you have starts at the foundation that you build. So even if that means going up to somebody who does not look, I would suggest it, since we're peers and we're going to be working with diverse groups of people that don't necessarily look, taste, smell, or breathe like us, or whatever else you want to use to divide. Go up to somebody that you think is different and find out how you're similar. Like, hey, how you doing? I'm a certified peer from such and such. You know, maybe you'll find out they don't even like certified peers. To me, I think it's a win-win. I think it's a win-win because 1, you know not to talk to them anymore, right? So how do we do skill development and networking? Begin building relationships starting now with as many people as possible, even if you don't think they can help you. I just got scary, didn't I? Because I've seen one of y'all just said, well, I don't talk to them anyway. I don't need them. It's exercise. The bigger your network, the bigger range of opportunities you will possess. So the more people you know, the more access to stuff you have. So how many of you guys have that? I go to Cross Point Church in Nashville, and they talk about the junk drawer. Got a junk drawer in your kitchen. How many of y'all got a junk drawer in your kitchen? How many of y'all sometimes go to that drunk junk drawer? It is a drunk drawer, but you go to that junk drawer because you've been looking for something all day and you got to find something to take its place. So you go to the junk drawer and you find all kinds of other stuff that open the idea of like, well, you know, I really needed to fix that. Or I've been looking for that nut in that bolt. I really do need some batteries in my remote. There goes that deck of cards I've been looking for since 1927. But you see, those are all resources, and that's just like a small micro example of how important it is to understand all that stuff means something. So you may have only met me 1 time right now. You might have just met me right now. You might not realize that I know people. I've been in 94 out of our 95 counties and provided religious and faith-based forums. What you now know is somebody who is connected to the religious and faith community in 94 out of 95 counties. I'm also connected to the religious and faith community of people in half of the country, not just in Tennessee. I travel and represent Tennessee as a faith-based leader for our state to work with our faith communities. So that could be of some resource to you at some capacity at some point, but you would have never known that if you didn't come through that front door and start networking with me right now. See, I'm networking with you now. I got a whole bunch of people. I don't know some of y'all's names, but I will at some point, I hope. Presentation skills. How many of y'all scared to present? Okay. How many of y'all have presented in front of more than 100 people? More than 200? More than 500? More than 1,000? Woo, I know you have, Cheryl. More than 2,000? More than 5,000? More than 8,000? Okay. Y'all getting it in, though. I like that. I like that. So presentation skills are important. They're important for this goes far beyond just a minimal presentation like, well, here I've got a PowerPoint. I'm going to share some data with you. This is something about you being able to present yourself and your ideas. If you want people to see that you're important, you have to present yourself as that win-win, as that person that overcame. Listen, guys, I get it. We're peers. We know we overcame. And I believe that everybody in here is like ready and in front of that struggle and ready to share those wonderful overcomings. But we still have people that don't understand us on the outside. So how we present ourselves may not be as important to you as it is to them. So they open the door for you to take charge of whatever you're trying to get. So according to many studies, public speaking continues to be the #1 fear of people. Public speaking is the #1 fear of people. Yet it remains one of the most critical skills in business to be successful. Having solid presentation skills is helpful in closing sales deals and making career moves. So, is anybody in here never presented ever in front of a group of people? Okay, everybody, who in here is not comfortable presenting in front of people? C. Mac, your name is cool. Yeah. So can I ask you a question? Would you mind just standing up and telling us your name and where you work at?
I'm Frank Bocalaz. I work for CMAC, and we use art as a language to lift up people.
Thank you. Thank you. Right then, because he and I have connected here, he felt comfortable enough to tell you what he did and what his name was. Thank you for sharing that. Some people, because that connection was never made like we just made, or nobody ever asked them, say, hey, what's your name? And I gave you 2 things. What's your name? What you do. Those are things that you can describe because you control that story. That was a narrative that you can control. You could add stuff in the middle. You could take stuff out. That's it. That's the simple piece of the presentation skills. Nobody knows how to tell about you but you. He described him to us. I don't know what his company is, but I'm curious now because he was like, first of all, he's got a cool name, C. Mac. I don't even know, like that's like awesome. I wish my name was cool like that, D Mac, B Mac, something. I could like all kind of Macs to go in my name. I like that. But he told me his name and what he did. He presented that thoroughly and he made me listen. I'll never forget his name, ever. And probably neither will you because I'm expounding it right now. I'm preaching it at you, shouting it off the top mountain. That's the simple part of the presentation. He told me about himself. How many of you guys didn't realize that every time you present, there needs to be an element of you in it? I didn't know that at first. I always thought when I presented information, I only presented the information as it sits. Sometimes you have to add yourself to it so people understand why you're presenting it, especially if you're a peer. People need to understand your connection, the correlation between you, your journey, and why you want that job. You say, well, I'm going to work as in the gym. I'm going to be in the gym. Why do they even need to know? I'm be honest with you. You in here for networking with me. We talking about people in recovery. That's where we at. When you go into a gym and you open your mouth and say, well, you know, I'm in long-term recovery. I have lived experience. I'd like this job at the gym. You never know, that person sitting across from you might just break down and tell you, God, we've been looking for somebody like you. We got people that come to us every single day that need to get into treatment or that need recovery support services. And that's not part of my presentation, but that's the truth. How many times have you told people you have lived experience and got up and told them what you did, and within a matter of days or weeks, they call you talking about somebody needs to get into treatment? Oh, that's what we live in right now. So presentation skills, present it. Make sure you put an element of you, what you've survived. If you can become an effective presenter, you will widen your capabilities as a professional and be able to succeed in many situations where others cannot. I think, and this is my personal opinion, y'all don't quote me on it even though he's filming me, so somebody will be able to go back and rewind this. I think that your survival, I think that all of the things that you've been through, these things have created your purpose, and this is the equivalent of some type of degree. I think that every single day you've breathed and survived your addictions or your mental health issues, I think that that is the equivalent of whatever degree a person acts like you don't have. There is victory in the process. And whatever process you got over or got through, put you here right now. Next one, please. Skill development. Find ways to get yourself presenting in front of other people as often as you can. The only way to overcome your fear of something is to do it until you fear it no more. My mother was a choir director and I cannot sing. She used to make me sing all the time. I was like, man, what are you doing? But she actually respectfully planted seeds in me to not be afraid to go in front of people, even if you're not all the way prepared. Get up and just do it. So now, I said before you now, not afraid of you, and it's probably because of the seeds she planted when I was a young man. I sung A and B selections. I don't even know what that means. Patrick, what does that mean? 2 songs. It doesn't mean slow and fast, it just means 2 songs? I got a choir, I got somebody, what choir are you singing in? I heard that. Next one, please. Communication. All of this hinges around communication. The most successful professionals recognize that communicating the right information at the right time in the right way is what creates the opportunities. So you wouldn't go walk into a meeting and they say, hey, how you doing? My name is Bob Dabalina. I'm the manager of the widget company. And you say, hi, I'm Will Taylor. I got locked up like 7 years ago. But I'm in long-term recovery. Yeah, right. There's a time and a place for everything. Look, I love to add comedy and love, and I know everybody doesn't do that, but you should. You should. You're all a blessing, and let people feel that off you. But how you communicate to people, that first impression, that first transition, it's actually an art of war when you communicate with somebody. It's a little war going on to see who can keep each other's attention or who can master or win the little bit of communication between each other. Anybody seen the movie Ronin? Where the guy ambushed him with a cup of coffee. He put a cup of coffee on the end of the table and walked him into it till he almost knocked it off. See, it's all about winning those small wars with people. You got to let them know who you are, be demonstrative, say, hey, listen, my name is Monty Burks. I'm in long-term recovery. It's a pleasure to be here to interview for this job. I'm thankful, blah, blah, blah. Share some things. And if they ask you more things, share some more. We can learn how to tell your recovery story. Learn how to make sure you use positive words when you describe your recovery story. Don't, in the process of your recovery story, go down the deep, dark road and stay down the deep, dark road for about 17 minutes. And everybody's like, whew, they might make them cry, but you also might make them not want to interview you anymore. So with respect to your story, maybe we should take our story, write it down, look at the key words in our story that might correlate to negativity and change the word. I'm not saying change your story. I'm not saying change your story. But what I'm saying is there's always a counter to a negative word that could possibly make another person's feelings change. You guys know that words trigger beliefs that trigger feelings. So sometimes something as simple as a simple word can cause the person to relapse. It can also cause the person that has no idea really who and what we are to go ahead and think that what they saw on CSI or Law and Order last week is about all of us. So we have to be careful how we tell it. When someone is talking, it is human nature to focus on what to say next instead of listening to what the other person has to say. Lord, when people don't have pre-planned responses when you're trying to network or you're trying to meet people and learn. As soon as sometimes, y'all know we all do it. We look at somebody, and as soon as they say something to us, we already fire back without listening to anything they said. We over like, all right, I'm ready. And then they just said exactly what you're fixing to ask them, and then we got egg on our face, right? Because then we realize, like, when we get in the car and we're driving home, we're like, man, he said that. Oh. So actively listen. Focus on mastering the communication process, and you will find that you will be misunderstood less and heard more often. How many of you as recovery advocates have been misunderstood? Well, see, the world has changed. Thank you. Pow. I know a lot of people in here. I know their personal stories, and there are people that are not afraid to tell it anymore, people that have put it out there. But for so long, people would misunderstand us because, one, they might even just look at our past and not even want to really know anything about us. So it might be up to the story we tell to change them or enlighten them. It could be that one seed we plant on them to make them, maybe we don't hire us, maybe they don't hire us. Maybe it's a win-win for the next person that comes behind us because they feel real bad about not being able to give us that chance, right? The skill development with communication is awesome. I pulled that little slide up because I think it's cool. I love teamwork. Actively work to develop your listening skills when interacting with others. By listening well, you'll be able to communicate your response more effectively. So listen, when we're talking about networking and building your capacity, make sure you listen to what that other person is saying, or make sure you get online and do your research on the company. If you want to go work somewhere, make sure you understand what widget company sells or what widget company does. Widget is not real, by the way. It's just something that I made up for this conversation. They are not hiring right now. They're not hiring. Time management. Woo-wee, boy. We all know that some of us had some time management issues during our active using. We didn't know how to put first things first. We didn't have that win-win mentality. So be cautious with time management. Again, we're in long-term recovery. We have things behind us that the people that we're trying to get to might not necessarily understand. So we want to be the person there that's 15 minutes early. And we want to be the person that's there 15 minutes late. I'm not telling you to waste 30 minutes of your day because I don't think that's wasting. I think that's you building your career. Being late, missing deadlines, and rushing to get things done is the best way to decrease your credibility as a professional. Everyone has busy lives, but the mark of a true professional is to manage your time by planning ahead. Manage your time by planning ahead. Guys, outside of what I do for state government, even before I worked for state government, I was blessed with the opportunity to work in jails. Jails and prisons. Couldn't be late, had to be early. But here's what was cool. It was cool to me as a person in long-term recovery that had been through all of those processes to be on the other side helping other people get the skill sets to not go back. So it was very important for me to be on time. My punctuality was important. And guess where that's led me? I work in state government. I'm in long-term recovery. I'm a professor at Motlow State University. I'm in long-term recovery. I'm also a professor at Tennessee State University, and I'm in long-term recovery. And I can fight a little bit, and I'm in long-term recovery. And I just recently started doing ballet with some friends. Y'all don't judge me. I had a fear of ballet, and I talk about it. Now I can plie slightly. My knee hurts right now, so I'm not going to give it to y'all. Catch y'all on a rebound. But leverage today's technology to plan out your day and keep your schedule on track. Time management. Utilize apps on your phone. Schedule it right, guys. You being in recovery, you being a certified peer, you being connected, if you're not certified yet, you being a peer. I've talked to other states around the country, and everybody's looking at innovative ways to start putting peers into the workforce. That is the conversation right now, is you guys getting an opportunity, because people know that if you want to help people, you have to get people from the same set of people. What I mean is we know how it feels to be burned by the fire. That means when somebody comes to us that's being burned by the fire, we know of effective ways and tools to help them or guide them to find their path. So it's important that we're on time, and it's important that we're punctual, because every single time we're given an opportunity, that's another life we can save, right? That's another life we can save. Next one, please. So our skill development is start saying no more to voluntary commitments and create a margin in your schedule to ensure completion of your task. If you're going to be out trying to do stuff, I know there's going to be gray areas. Give yourself some time. I was notorious when I first started working as a professional, as I would have my calendar booked from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock, no lunch break, no break period. I was broke down at the end of the day. I had no idea what happened, and I probably didn't learn anything. Learn to put those margins in your calendar. The next one, please. So self-maintenance, real quick. Get enough sleep. We're going to go into we're going to go into how our capacity in a second, but these things are all important going forward. Get enough sleep. Eat when you are hungry. Do not go out and try to build your capacity and network and do all these wonderful things if you hadn't had anything to eat. because your body is going to be focused on feeding itself, not retaining knowledge of what you're trying to do. Get some exercise. Keep your doctor appointments. Take your medication. The next one's my favorite one. Take a bath. I ain't talking about a bird bath. I'm saying take a bath. The taking a bath is not just for the other people, it's good for you too. I say, it empowers you. You make sure that you dominate that moment. If you're going to go out and you're going to win, make sure that you're ready to win. Make sure you put your full armor on and you're ready to go. Get outside a little bit, breathe. Talk about your feelings. I talked about it earlier. One of the reasons that I actively used for so long is because I was scared to tell people about me being depressed. I was scared to talk about my feelings. I was never going to make it in my personal life. I would have never been a professional because I was too busy suffering, because I wouldn't tell anybody. The mask finally came off when I hit rock bottom. Shut down negative talk. Guys, we don't need it. I get that we have people that is anybody named Debbie in here? Okay, we have Debbie Downers, right? I didn't want to offend anybody. Or talk too much Tim. I know I got some Tims in here, but guys, y'all can take that. But you always got people that'll feed you negative. We don't need that. We're going to control our day with positivity. Listen, your mind is like a battleground. Every single day you're trying to do something to move forward. So when people feed negative influence and negative energy into you all the time, you're going to tend to gravitate toward what they talk about, whether you know it or not. They will drag you down into the depths of negativity before you can be positive. And the next thing you know, he's like, I can't stand such and such. I'm ready for this day to be over with. Girl, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. And I'll give you my personal piece, if you don't mind me sharing, is that my first fruits of every morning are I do a personal Bible study and read the Word. I know everybody doesn't do the same thing I do, but I give my first fruits to that because that's my correlation of my faith, and that goes into my values, into my family, and all those things I talked about. So the first thing I do in the morning before I get on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or whatever else that's full of people being mad at the whole world for something they did, it's usually something they did or something that ain't real. I give my first fruits to something that I know that can uplift me and empower me to do something much better. What you give your first fruits to is your choice. And 10, practice acceptance. You'll never go anywhere if you don't accept things that are different than you. I'm not saying you got to go hang out with people that you don't necessarily understand, but what I'm saying is you have to be accepting and open to difference. Division serves the purpose of the divider, period. That's it. It does not serve our purpose as certified peers. We have been blessed and given a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, ninth, some of us 10th chance to finally get it right. So whatever we're doing, accept individuals that need you. Next one, please. So I want to talk to you now about this networking thing and where to go and these conferences and these different groups of people that can get you to where you're trying to get to. How many of you guys have heard of TDMHSAS? Okay, still some hands down. Some people call it taters. I say you want some mashed potatoes with your potatoes. But TDMHSAS is the statewide clearinghouse of recovery information. They educate, support, and engage members and the public to influence policy and advocate for prevention, treatment, and recovery. TDMHSAS provides trainings, but TDMHSAS also has a statewide conference. They have a statewide conference where people that are people that you would probably want to work for, treatment, recovery, and prevention agencies, housing agencies that are built and made mostly by people like you. People like me, people like us. So you can go to their website. It's on the bottom, TDMHSAS.org. We got 2 people from TDMHSAS here. If you need recovering information for your program or you're trying to start a program, you can reach out to them. They've got their cards. They will be able to ship recovery information to your organization wherever it is. I work with congregations as far as up in Johnson County and as far as over in Lauderdale, Tipton, and they can reach out to TDMHSAS and fill out online what they need. And TDMHSAS will send that to their organization or just to them so they can promote recovery in their community. TAMHO, Tennessee Association of Mental Health Organizations. The TAMHO is a statewide trade association representing community health centers and other nonprofits that provide behavioral health services. Their mission is to service members and promote the advancement of effective behavioral health. So there's their website, tamho.org. TAMHO represents our mental health community. Some of you may want to work in the mental health community. TAMHO has conferences that you can attend that are full of practitioners and people who are the CEOs, executive directors, and employment services folk for their agencies that are part of their continuum. TAMHO's website is www.tamho.org. Do I have somebody from TAMHO in here or a member of TAMHO? Okay. There are some people here at this conference that are part of TAMHO. I would suggest if you want to see what the mental health continuum looks like, get connected with TAMHO. If anything else, just go to their website and look at the agencies that they work with. They've managed to build a network and some congruency around the board for the agencies. That's a good thing because now we know that you guys serve so well as peers in all of these organizations that are connected. NAMI. How many of you guys know what NAMI is? Okay, now I got some NAMI. Okay, good. Grassroots nonprofit self-help organization made up of people with mental illness and their families and community members. We're dedicated to improving quality of life for people with mental illness and their families through support, education, and advocacy. There's NAMI10.org. If you guys don't know Robin Nobling, does anybody know Robin Nobling? Isn't she awesome? Yes. Like she is the super coolest in the whole world. And if you ain't doing it right, she'll tell you in your face. Yeah, don't get it twisted. But again, these are three different organizations that have conferences and that have meetings. And you say, well, you know, I'm busy on Saturday. I don't really want to go to that conference. You don't want a job. If you're trying to move up in a professional world, you're going to have to meet some stuff where it's at, not where you are. The job's not going to hop out of the TV during the football game. I wish it would during the Vols game because it might save me the heartache of losing every week. Faith-based forums. That's me. Our faith-based initiative was designed to actively engage our faith-based communities and organizations as a means of increasing outreach, educational activities, access, and visibility to individuals seeking substance abuse services. We've provided 92 faith-based forums in 94 out of 95 counties. That means we presented in 94 out of 95 counties about addiction, about treatment, about recovery to the faith community and to pull the faith community in. It would be great if you guys wanted to come to those meetings because there are also a lot of congregations that are looking to work with you. There are treatment agencies and recovery housing that are all looking for you to be some type of in-kind partner or a paid partner. There's always opportunities. We won't know about the opportunities unless we go, right? Our faith-based forums are usually on Tuesday and Thursday nights during the week. They're all over the state. If you want to learn about those faith-based forums, would Project Lifeline please raise their hand and the faith-based coordinators please raise their hand? These individuals keep a list of the meetings in their area. There are other Project Lifeline representatives here as well. James Harper was our first faith-based coordinator. Could you please stand up? James is a faith-based coordinator. He serves the Middle Grand Division of Tennessee, which is 30, how many counties? 41 counties, excuse me. But what his job is to connect our faith community to recovery resources and to help them build recovery support meetings inside of their congregations. Secular and non-secular meetings happen in our faith-based organizations. Did you guys know that? The first recovery meeting I ever went to was at a church, and it was a secular meeting. I didn't know what was going on. That's why I said I was scared to death. I didn't even think I belonged in there. And it was actually pretty cool because it's what got me to go to treatment. You can look at the bottom, the link on the bottom. That's to the state gov, that's our state website, but you can also connect with James and connect with Project Lifeline. What I want to say to you guys is there are many organizations and many agencies out there that will help you find the employment you need. But part of the networking process is you need to be visible at all of those conferences. People need to see you and see the fruit of your work or see someone who was willing to try to do things different. When I volunteered for years, I worked as a reentry advocate in the criminal justice system, but I came to all the conferences and I met people, and it actually gave me an opportunity to be in a position that I'm in now. I don't know if that's going to happen for everybody. I don't make promises, but what I'm telling you is I would have never had this opportunity if I wasn't coming to things like this. I didn't come to these things looking for a job. I looking for help from my people, actually for some people in my family. I came because I didn't know where the resources were and ended up being in a position to tell you about other resources.